everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Abomination Goddess Podcast. We are so happy to have you with us. As
Yay.
always, I have Casie with me, Casie Halseth. She's the author of Abomination Born, a fictional portrayal of her real life experience with the mystical realms. Her action-packed book is full of lessons, insights, and calls for other Abomination Born folks in the world to start connecting. And that's what we do here on our podcast. And if you feel like any of the topics that we talk about speak to you, then you have found the perfect place. You are welcome here. Casie is an award-winning public speaker, and I think that you'll find by watching this podcast and reading her books that she just effortlessly draws her audience into her world, both in her book and on the stage. You will find that listening to her, she describes everything in a way that completely makes sense, and your brain can, handle it and digest it and download it into something that you can use into your everyday life. So, welcome, Casie. I'm so happy that you're
Thank
with
you.
me.
Thank
Yay.
you.
Yeah. I am Ashley Kim. I am the author of Villain Goddess. It is a book that I wrote to help women on their journey to set boundaries, build confidence, and to heal themselves. It is a very honest and open look at what I went through and the tools that I used to survive my villain era. I went through my journey alone, and so I wrote this book so that you wouldn't have to go it alone. I will be riding this crazy roller coaster with you, screaming off my head the whole time.
Hmm.
Yay. All right. So, we like to kick our podcast off with show and tell, and I am going to go ahead and share my screen, and we can get this started. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first today?
Yeah, whatever you want.
Okay. Um, let's see here. I can go first this time. I always make you do it.
Mhm.
Um, I just have a few, well, I think everything I do is pretty random on here, but I was reorganizing my office, which is also our guest bedroom, which is also the room where all of our crafts are in. So it's like a room that has everything in it. And I found, this isn't even half of them, a bunch of my selenite sticks that I thought I had just given them all away or something, but no, I found a bunch of them. And I am
Nice.
so excited because this is one of my favorite stones. And I
Nice.
used the app that Casie uses a lot, and she introduced me to this app that can go on your phone. And so I looked it up because in our house, when we have really bad headaches, we put the sticks on our foreheads, and it immediately relaxes all of the muscles in our face. And it's just like a cool relief that goes through your head. And people think I'm crazy, but try it, and you'll see it works. But I thought this was interesting. Quiets the mind, protects from psychic attack, helping with mental clarity. It's so many things that have to do with your mind and your brain. And so, to me, it definitely makes sense that it would help with a headache as well. So I was very excited about this.
Yeah,
And I
that's
also
really
like, oh,
nice.
yeah, opening and connection to the spirit realm. I think that was cool too. So, yeah, if anyone, I'm not saying that, works for everyone across the board, but if you have a headache, just, yeah, try it. Put it right.
I
I
will.
don't know. I tried to put it like on my third eye area. I don't know if that's really what you need to do, but that's kind of where it balances the best. It works well for us. So,
My mother always had us, she would, if we had headaches, she would rub upward on our forehead, just like I do when I say choose again.
uh-huh.
She would rub upward on our forehead very gently. And
Yeah.
I always thought that that was a special spot on the forehead. So it makes sense that a stone would help us out too.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm going to try that. Just that rubbing up. Yeah. Even just doing it now feels good.
Mhm.
Um, okay. So next this is my dirty shower, but we have eucalyptus hanging from it. And it smells so good. And my husband, I was out in the garden and he was like, why don't you just also like cut sage and hang that in the shower too? And so we are going to start kind of cycling through our different herbs, hang them in the shower. Sage would smell good. our lavender plant would smell amazing as well. So, like, what a good reminder that it doesn't need to just be eucalyptus. Eucalyptus smells amazing in there, but that we can actually get stuff from our own backyards and use that as well. So,
That's a very good idea.
yeah, what a great way to just bring things indoors.
Hmm.
Okay, so this is one of my many pieces of Ashley artwork that I do, but I wanted to just bring this up. If anyone is working on a goal, this was one of the best things I ever did when I launched my business. I quit my job, and I think I had like maybe $300 a month coming in. And so I needed to quickly, start increasing my income. Like I needed to be tripling, quadrupling each month while I built my business. And so what I did is I set a goal for myself, an annual goal of how much I wanted to make. And then I drew circles on my canvas, and the bigger circles are for larger amounts of money, the smaller circles are for smaller amounts of money. But basically, what I did is every month that I did my billing, I would go in and color the circles to kind of keep track of how close I was to getting my goal. And it was relaxing and calming because, first of all, I hate doing any kind of invoicing and billing. Self-worth is something that I've just always had to work on in general. So even if I know I did a good job, I still feel like when I bill someone that I'm not worth that. And so what this helped me do was kind of take that nervous energy and turn it into something creative. And so I would color in my circles and then I would doodle around the circles. You can see the little patterns. And then at the end of the year, yeah, I had this little piece of artwork on a canvas that reminded me of all of the hard work and all of the just perseverance and faith in myself that I had during that process. And I still have this hanging up on our wall. And I don't know, I'm trying to figure out another way to do this as I move into a different kind of business venture, to do something similar to this to kind of keep me excited and motivated as I, increase my either sales or clients or whatever it is I want to focus on.
That's a
So
wonderful idea. Just
thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah,
That needs to
this
be
is,
framed and hung up and highly
yeah.
respected. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. This is, yeah, one of the things, I have it hanging in my office just right over here. And I smile every time I see it because it's my
Yeah.
reminder that I did it. Like I did it. I met my goal. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. And um, I think we are both reading this book right now. I think
Yes.
you're further
Yes.
along than I am, but I absolutely just love this book so much. And I came across this one section, and I really liked this because this book has been doing such a good job of reframing what we're taught, like either in school or through the TV, watching National Geographic, whatever it is, wherever you're learning your stuff. But this book has been kind of reframing some of the things for me. And so in here, she says people often talk about fear of the dark as tracing back to ancestors, how threats of large animals at night probably made our species jumpy. But it seems far more likely that our way back predecessors did not fear darkness as we do, because for them it was a place to which humans belonged. Our ancestors, all of them, knew the night as it existed directly around them, just as they knew how to identify the creatures and nuanced sounds that it held. How strange is it, from that perspective, to think that anyone would view darkness as something pulse quickening in and of itself? And I thought, what a great reminder of our ancestors go back even further than what scientists and okay, I can't say that word, historians, it goes back even further than that, to a place where, hey, maybe since half their world was dark, because it's not like they got to turn on lamps when it got dark outside, that they were used to it and they weren't scared of it because it was just everyday life. But it just kind of made me reframe some of that and start feeling a little bit more comfortable in, just darkness in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the night or the book, I'm sorry, I did not read it out loud for those who are just listening, but it's called Night Magic: Adventures Among Glowworms, Moon Gardens, and Other Marvels of the Dark. And it's by Leanne Hennen, I think. Um, very good book. Okay.
Very good book. I agree.
Yeah. All right. Where do we want to start with yours?
Well, it's so interesting you're bringing up the dark. Let's bring up the Eight of Swords, the
Okay.
picture right there. It's the
Yes, I
picture
saw.
of the mole, the Eight of
Yeah.
Swords. Well, today I'm kind of off today.
Yeah.
It's one of those days. I'm just having an off day today. So I did the cards and I pulled out the Eight of Swords, and then um, I wanted to know why. And it's just because, like you're talking about the dark. And of course, I've been reading the same book about the dark. And when
Uh-huh.
you're in the dark, you're in the womb. That is where you're at. And actually, I'm very comfortable in the dark.
Mhm.
Well, so the Eight of Swords is about coming out of the dark and so it's a picture of a mole coming
Mhm.
out from the dark where the mole is knows what he's doing and can use all of his senses and find his way around. And he comes up to the surface, and moles can't see. So they can't rely on the same uh, instincts that they had before. It's like they're blindfolded when they come out. And so what this is trying to tell me is it's time for me to waken up my other senses and not to rely on the old senses that I used all the time.
Wow.
I'm coming into a new thing, so I have to awaken what's already in me but has been sleeping.
Mhm. Wow. Yes. Oh, I love that.
It
That
was really
message.
comforting to me, really comforting to me.
Yes. Yeah.
And
And
swords all have to do with thinking too much, thinking, thinking, thinking. And eight, of course, is way too much thinking. 10
Mhm.
is the most, where you're overthinking everything. So you're still, so it's saying, don't go into your head. Don't be thinking all this stuff. Use your instincts. Use the instincts you haven't been using.
Yeah. I really like this, and this is helpful for me too. And I think you're right. When you crawl out, you just need time to adjust, you know? You're using new
I think that's why we
senses.
like those books about being in the dark, is because
Yeah,
it's so nice in the dark.
it
And
is.
we're
Yeah.
comfortable in the dark and we're
Yes.
fascinated by being in the dark. But when we
Mhm.
when we come out to the light, uh, then we have to use our other instincts, because like the mole can't see, and so we have to use our other instincts. That the
Yeah.
ones that the mole uses underground don't work as well on above the ground.
Right. Right. Yeah, I really love that. I love this so much. And just, that reminder of, I don't know, you're having an off day, and it could be
Yeah,
because it's time to switch. And
that is. It's the
yeah,
first
and
of the next, July is starting up,
yep.
and so it's starting a new thing and moving
Hmm.
forward. And we
Yeah,
can't, it's so easy to be caught up in what I've done and not what I'm going to do. If
right.
that makes sense, I'm real
Yeah,
comfortable with what I've done. So why do I have to
right.
keep working so hard at going forward all the time?
I know. And going forward is so scary because nothing is guaranteed. You look back at what you've done and it's set in stone. When you go forward, yeah, it's a wild ride. I
It's a
love that.
ride.
Yeah. Oh, and he's so cute. I love that mole.
The mole is so cute, yes. And that was from the Animal Totem book that I absolutely,
Yes.
I absolutely
Yep.
love.
Yeah,
Um,
I love that one too by Lisa
those cards.
Robertson.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
very good. Oop. Okay. Do we
And then
want to do
maybe
this?
the dice one. How about the
The
dice
dice?
one?
Okay.
I threw the dice. I've been throwing the dice lately, and for the Angel Numbers book,
Mhm.
Angel Numbers 101 by Doreen Virtue. And so I've
Oh,
been
yep.
throwing them
Let me
every
show it real
day.
quick.
And
Yeah.
yeah, oh, yeah, I
Here's the
have
book.
been very, very pleased with the direction that these numbers have been taking me into. So
Yeah.
this was 619 was the number for today. And I got these dice from Deborah Burris. She's the lady who wrote the weather magic book. And
Mhm.
I'm absolutely enjoying these dice.
Yes. Let's see here.
There it is. 619. So stay positive about your career and finances and put your entire focus on serving a spiritual purpose through your work.
Wow.
Isn't that appropriate?
Yes. That is very appropriate. Oh my gosh, that gives, yeah, I have chills from this.
So here
Yeah.
this mole is coming out from the ground and coming into a new environment. And then the dice are telling me, stay positive
Hmm.
and
Stay
keep your
positive.
focus on the spiritual purpose. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, okay. And it just like, it really helped. It just
Yeah.
put me at ease.
Oh, I
It,
love
it
this. Yeah. It's such a good reminder too. I feel like I always do better when I focus on the purpose and not any of the, like, obviously I want money, I want success, all of that stuff. But as soon as I focus on that, it's just up in flames. But if I focus on my purpose, especially that kind of spiritual purpose, for me, that doesn't necessarily mean like, spiritual as in like going to church. For me, sometimes it could be like my work is helping people do certain things, and that does resonate with me spiritually as well. But yeah, I feel like I just move leaps and bounds if I focus that way versus, how much money am I going to get out of this, or, things like that. So, oh, I love
so
this. I feel
after I
like
after
oh,
I
go ahead.
got this number, I swept again. I did my light and love sweeping all
Yeah.
over. I was like, oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Like a whole new energy vibe. Yeah.
yeah. It really was. It
Yeah.
really was
Oh, I love
very
that.
helpful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is good. So many good reminders. I feel like you did all the work for both of us today as far as finding a message that works for me too. Oh, I love that. Okay.
And the
Let's
last
see.
one was the snake. Can you see the snake in there? There's two snakes, one in the foreground and one in the background, and then there's that three swirly pattern in the background.
Hmm.
And the snake represents rebirth. And we most of us realize the snake represents rebirth, how it sheds its skin.
Yeah.
Well, I should have known. Okay, this was the last thing that I pulled out. I should have known that I was kind of in that snake. You know, when the snake is shedding its skin is when it does its biting because the
Oh,
skin, yeah, when it comes out of its skin, a lot of times it'll be kind of loose over its eyes, so it can't see
yeah.
very well. And
Mm.
it does that biting thing where it will just bite at anything that comes close because it's afraid. You know,
Yeah.
it can't discern things. And so just like the mole coming up out of the ground, it's in a new environment or something's new,
Yep.
something different. It's a little bit scary. And um, that's why I like this that it came up because sometimes it's a, we I have, my dad's family were Norwegians and Germans, and my mom's family was Germans and Hungarians. And
Hmm.
so, I mean, these are all warrior people, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Yep.
I don't have a gentle bone in my body, and I my DNA wants to, bite first.
Yep.
And thank goodness for the snake to remind me that when I'm in a
Yeah.
rebirthing, when I'm about to start a new venture, start to do something different,
Hmm.
that you don't have to bite. Just keep
Uh,
pulling it off. Keep pulling it off.
yeah. Yep. I think the other cool thing about this is the vulnerability of change. Um,
Yes.
it you are so vulnerable at those moments, when the mole's coming out, when the snake is shedding the skin, like, yeah, and you're right. When you're vulnerable, you want to protect, 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 protect. And it's so easy to get triggered on little things too, because well, if you got snake skin over your eyes and you can't see very well, you don't know if that trigger was real or if you're fine. You just don't know. So yeah, I think these are
And the new
yeah, these
skin, when the snake comes out of his skin, the new skin hasn't really hardened up yet. It's still really tender and sensitive. It's a little
yeah,
while before it becomes super comfortable with the
yep,
environment. And
yeah.
so every single venture that we go on, so like maybe we've got 5 projects going at one time. Well, this project might be in a snake skin shedding phase.
Yeah.
And so there's that little corner of us that's, kind of sensitive and will
Mhm.
bite.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Nope, I
Um,
agree with that. I also, I don't know, I kind of feel like when things like this happen to you, if you are kind of, going in for that bite, like obviously we don't want to be reactive, but I sometimes feel like if there wasn't a boundary in place before, you weren't in a place of protection, then I feel like sometimes biting is the only thing we have left
yeah,
until we learn from it. And
yeah,
I think it's a good reminder to have grace for ourselves too, of like,
yeah.
you know, um, yeah, I don't know.
I
I
was
love
reading
this.
something the other day about the cobra, and the cobra, it'll bite. I mean, everybody knows. But the cobra also, and other snakes too that are quite venomous, they don't always squirt out their venom with their bite. They conserve
Oh,
it, and they'll save it for when it's absolutely necessary. So, like if a person comes past, a cobra might bite, but it won't it knows you're too big for it to swallow whole. It knows it's not going to be able to kill you or eat you. And so it may hold back its venom for something that it can eat whole.
mhm.
It conserves
Yeah.
it. And I thought, huh, you know, I think I need to take something from that and learn from that.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. No, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I hate it when I'm in my biting my biting phase. Um, I also, okay, here's another thought that I have with that too is have you ever noticed some people they always get bitten. They're always getting bitten by the dogs, by the snakes, whatever. And it's like maybe it's that person. Like maybe they're just always getting bitten because they approach things in a manner that, us gentle creatures find a little bit aggressive. And so I don't know, and that's why I kind of feel like that whole boundary thing of like, obviously we don't want to be bitey or reactive, but sometimes what comes out of that is kind of a good thing. Like, I don't know. Not always, but sometimes it's a boundary is now in place that you never have to worry about ever again. And the next time you're in that sensitive place, that's taken care of. So,
I was thinking, like with the biting, as you were talking, I was thinking, but let's say we're taking a bite out of a new project or a new thing that we're
mm,
working on. Maybe like the cobra, we could bite into something that might be way too big for us right now.
yeah, yeah,
But we could bite into it, but not give it all of our strength, not give it our
yeah.
venom or just bite into it, but not leave ourselves open so that we can do all these other little things that we have to do first, where we can save our
Yeah,
venom for the proper things.
yeah, for sure. No, I completely agree with that. Yeah, that's actually where I am with one of my projects is how big of a bite and can I even handle that big of a bite? Or do I want to handle that big of a bite? Because sometimes I don't want to. So yeah, I love
Yeah.
that analogy. I think that's
Just a
yeah,
little bite, just to mark your territory a little bit,
yeah,
or like you
test
say,
it out.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
I know I learned so much from these little critters. The other day we saw our turtle. I haven't seen her in a while, and then all of a sudden now she's shown up twice, and
Oh,
she
really?
has orange lips, and uh, she's at least 45 years old, at
Oh,
least,
wow.
because I've seen her. That's how long that I've been seeing her. So yeah, she's
Oh
old.
my gosh. Yeah. And she's been coming up by the house again, or?
Yes, yes,
Yeah. Oh, I wonder
yeah,
what she's doing.
yeah. And I just think, oh yeah, to be a turtle, you're just kind of going along.
Yep.
She
Making
she
her way.
just doesn't, yeah. And she's got her home with her wherever she goes.
Yes, she does. That's a good point. Oh, I love it. Yeah, we've been what so we are finally starting to get lightning bugs back in our backyard. And so there for a while, in town anyway, it was like there were zero lightning bugs. And so I would say I bet we had 20 or so in
Wow.
our backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good for us. And so it started out like one or two and it just keeps building and building. And so my 5-year-old, I got her one night and I was like, "Oh, I have a special surprise for you." And I didn't tell her what it was. And so I carried her outside because she um had a medical procedure done and she was just feeling down. So I carried her outside and we were watching them and she was so mesmerized. And then and so I was telling her that I was reading about this, and if you watch, there's a pattern. You can see them, the blinking pattern, and then there's like a swirling pattern they would do. And so she watched with me, and then she figured out the pattern, and then she's told me exactly where we should go stand in the backyard. So then we were in the middle of the swirl, and it was so cool. And then they were, just right beside us and lighting up, and yeah, it's just she did not want to go back in because I kept asking her, okay, do you want to go back in now? She said no. And so we stood out there for the longest time just watching these lightning bugs. And um, I don't know, I was thinking, because their larvae glow too.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm wondering if I can find them without hurting their habitat. So I'm gonna some night just kind of peek in the corners of our backyard. They might not even be in our backyard. They might be in someone else's, but I don't know. I want to see if we have little glowworms in our yard.
You probably do. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. Oh, they're just, yeah. And I don't know if they like are heat seeking, but they just follow. Like there was one I had to like shoo him away because he was gonna just come right inside with me. I'm like, you don't want to be in here. You need to.
That's why they're so easy to catch in a jar.
Oh
Did you ever do
yeah.
that when you were a kid?
Oh, I'm
You'd have
sure I
20 of
did.
them,
Yeah.
20 of them in a mason jar,
Yeah.
and then when you let them all go, it's just so fun to watch it's like a fountain when they go out. And they
Yeah.
know what they're
Yep.
doing. They say, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. They are just so gorgeous. Yeah, we love it. That was I would say lightning bugs would be probably the first like introduction of how people can be cruel to bugs. Because I remember when my two older kids were a lot younger, there were kids that were smearing them on their clothes and so that the clothes would have the iridescent part. And oh
oh,
my gosh.
really?
Yeah, so I took my kids aside and I said, we don't do that because you're like literally killing, something just because it's
Yeah,
pretty. I'm like, what if you
yeah,
were looking good and someone decided to kill you because you were so pretty? Like, anyway, but that was kind of our introduction to like, these are living beings and we can respect that. And yeah, it
yeah.
slowly morphed into catching the spiders and putting them outside instead of killing them. And yeah, we're getting there for our love of bugs. And um, that night magic book, I don't know if you caught this on here, but tourism around bugs, I had no idea that was even a thing. And so I started Googling that just to see like what is in the US, obviously in the Appalachian, and I'm sure I'm saying that incorrectly, so I apologize to anybody, but the Appalachian Mountains, they have a lot around that just because there are so many like nighttime bugs and creatures and stuff like that. But I was like, I'm gonna see what's in my state. There might be something so cool I don't even know about. But yeah,
Yeah, it could
traveling to
be.
look at insects, like I don't know, that's really cool. I like that.
And you saw about the humongous fungus in Oregon, that mushroom that grows? That
Yes.
is something. It's
Yes.
huge. What
Yeah.
is it? It's several acres wide
Yep.
underneath the ground,
Yes.
and it
Yeah.
glows.
Yeah. Yes. And that's the other, is it bioluminescent or whatever it is? But
Bioluminescence.
yeah, that people travel to go see those things as well. I'm like, why aren't I doing this? This is what I this is what I should be doing.
That's
Traveling
right.
to see these cool things. Yeah.
And rocks glow too. When you hit them with certain lights, they glow.
Oh,
Some of
yeah.
the really good rock museums, they'll be dark, pitch black, except for they'll have these black lights will be on, and you can see all these rocks will be glowing.
Oh my gosh, no, I had no idea. No idea. Yeah. And I think that's the other fascinating too with that night magic book. And like what you were saying is in darkness, like in a cave or whatever, to us, we think it's pitch black, but it isn't. We just can't see all the light that's in there. And yeah, I just find that so fascinating that I feel like, I don't know, as humans, maybe we've kind of stopped being curious about things, because we have the internet at our fingertips and we feel like we know it all, and we don't at all. But this has kind of triggered that curiosity back inside of me, which has been very exciting. So yeah, I love it.
And for like me, I'm in that realm maybe more than I need to be in that realm of the mystical realm, which is maybe the womb realm. And so
Yeah.
for me, it's pretty scary coming out into the real world a little bit.
Hmm.
And so that I only come out for a little while, then I go right back in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of
I'm like
predators
the
out
turtle
here.
going in and out of my house.
Take a few steps, go back
Yeah,
in. Take a few
yes,
steps, go back in.
yes.
No, I get it. I mean, I don't know, like metaphorically speaking, coming out, out of your safety place, it does feel like there are a lot of predators and you do have to find your community, that supports you, which, I felt like I'm lucky that I have you in that aspect is like you are one of my safe spaces. This podcast is one of my safe spaces, which we were talking about, I think last week maybe. Um, but yeah, it is. It's scary coming out there because people aren't necessarily waiting with welcoming arms. I feel like a lot of humans I interact with are meeting me to see why they don't need to be friends with me, if that makes sense. And so it's easier to write someone off when you meet people that way versus meeting someone to find out like what makes them interesting or, whatever. And so yeah, it kind of ruins the fun of popping out into the light to see what's going on.
That's why I like that angel number, 619 said, stay positive about your career and finances and put your entire focus on serving a spiritual purpose through your
Yeah.
work. And as soon as I got that, as soon as the dice rolled and I looked up the number for it, it was like, oh, I'm like, oh yeah, that that's that's what it is. And so I have to
Yeah.
keep reminding myself, I'm
Yeah.
on this. Um, it's the purpose behind it is to send out this light and love. That's the
Hmm.
purpose of everything that we're
Yeah.
doing. Because
Yeah.
I'm
It
right
is.
now I'm working on book 4, and I'm writing this really cool scene right now. We're in this cave, and most of the things I write about actually happened,
Mhm.
and but I put them in a fictional way. But it was just a really cool cave that we were in. It was just a wonderful event, and every day I go in and I ask Al, "What else happened?" And then he'll tell me, "Remember this, remember that." And I'm thinking, well, why am I writing this again? And that was what I was going through this morning. Why am I mean, this is a personal thing. This is, why? And then
Yeah.
I realized, oh, that's right. I'm I'm putting out these experiences out into the
Mhm.
cosmos, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And it is a purpose, and it's a really good purpose, very good purpose. And I like the amount of times I've seen people say it was a fictional book that opened my eyes,
yeah,
and
yes.
that's exactly what you're doing. You are giving stories for people to help their brains connect some things together. I think what you're doing is very important, and I'm so glad that you're doing it. Yeah. And I mean, you're on book number 4, Casie. Like,
Well, yeah, I love telling my stories, but
yeah.
and I have these days where I think I don't know why. And thank goodness my husband is so sweet about it. He's encouraging, go ahead, talk about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But you've probably had to protect those stories for so long that it probably
Yes.
is hard to put them out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah. And I remember when I published my book and it literally felt like I was splitting myself open, asking people to take a peek. judge it,
Mm-hmm.
and then try to not care about the judgments that come with it, because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's nerve-wracking, putting yourself out there like that. But I don't know, I feel like the amount of people that you are going to help is going to be huge. Um, and so, and I think too, the way that your stories are written, because it's easy to understand. It's a fictional story with real events, real places, right? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's told in a way that allows people to let their brains take what they need. And I think that's what I really like about your stories, is that it's not like this is exactly the truth and this is this and that is that. It sinks into our bodies and we're allowed to take what we need out of it. And with your stories, because you are so much more experienced than I ever am, um, the cool thing that I like about it is I've only read your first book, but as I read other books like Night Magic or The Dark Feminine or whatever, there are so many things that you've introduced me to that when I read them in these other books, I'm like, oh, I know what that is because Casie
Mm-hmm.
talked about that in her book. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I, I just applaud you for putting yourself out there and putting your stories out there because I don't even think you'll know the impact that you're going to have on people. I don't think you'll know, but I know it's going to be big. I'm excited for you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The other
definitely like
thing,
being a mole coming out of the hole.
yes, yeah, yeah, it's a whole new world.
Actually, I'm kind of comfortable being the odd one that, everyone was like, well, she's strange, you know, because I blurt out these things all the time. And and so I've always been comfortable that way, but now yeah, I have to use my senses uh in a different way. Uh
Mhm. Yeah, you'll master it. You'll do good. I think so. Yeah. The other thing that you had said today in our podcast that I think is very important, and I've never thought about doing this, was that you rolled the dice and then you saw the number and you read the meaning and then you went back to sweep again. And
yes.
I've never thought about doing that, of repeating your ritual after getting the message that you're supposed to receive. I think that is brilliant. Just brilliant. So I just wanted to like call that out one more time, for myself and then for anyone else listening, that do your rituals again, do it back over because now you have a whole different vibe. I don't know what the word is, inside your entire body and your energy. Yeah.
I don't know where my book is. I have it here somewhere. The new book out, it's called Broom Magic. It's here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. I just got this, and I've been reading this Broom Magic
Yeah.
by Chelsea Townsend and Gypsy Blaine Teague. And they, of course, use the brooms, and they have a different broom for each thing that they will use it for. And then they will also tell you which kind of wood would be the best kind of wood to use for your
Yeah.
broom. And, I mean, they're really connoisseurs of brooms. I mean, this is like a five-star hotel kind of approach to brooms. I'm
Yeah.
like bargain basement broom person. you know, uh, I but one thing that they do say is, to talk to your broom. Of course, I talk to my broom all the time,
Mhm.
and she works for me. She helps me out, and
Yep.
I have my outside brooms that,
Yeah.
so I sweep the driveway and I sweep the decks and stuff,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
they're just more than happy to help out.
Yeah.
They're wonderful personalities.
Yep. Yeah. Ready to get started.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you have an inside one, driveway, and for your porch?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and I even consider, well, of course, I consider everything. I'll use it for the broom sweeping out, so I'll use feathers as well.
Oh, yeah.
A feather whisk, or even just a feather, or like I've said before, uh, the the blower, I think they're called those.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
The
those
leaf
leaf
blower kind of a
blowers?
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll use if I don't use it so much anymore. I used to have one that it was little and I would use that one, but Al has a bigger one now and he will use it. So while he's doing it, I'm invoking everything
Yeah.
and
Putting
having it
the
go out.
intention behind it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. Yeah. I didn't even think about having multiple brooms too. And that's like, duh. Yeah, you
And a
should.
rake will do that for me if I'm raking. I'm old, so I don't do that kind of stuff anymore. When we were younger, in our 40s, we used to do things in the yard all the time, but now
Mhm.
I'm in the 70s, so I don't. We've let the woods grow up real close to the house now. It's quite thick, but
Mhm.
before it looked like a golf course around here. Now it looks like a deep, deep woods.
Yeah.
So there's no sense blowing it. There's no
Right.
yeah,
Right.
grass. We don't even need to mow.
Yeah. That's funny. We are in the process of changing the grass in our backyard to like clover and things like that that pollinators would like. And so our goal is in the next, it might take 2 more years. So in 3 years, we won't like we might mow twice a year maybe, but yeah, it's a special mix for people who want to replace the grass in their yards with something that's actually better for nature. But like we've just kind of slowly been trying to, I don't know, just fix our backyard and make it more of a natural habitat for whoever needs to hang out there. But yeah, I can totally see us letting the woods grow up to the house too. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
um, I don't know. That's kind of our goal anyway. Once our youngest is done playing in the backyard, I don't think we'll have any open spot. I think it'll all be herbs and garden and shrubs and pathways. And yeah, that's probably it.
yeah.
So,
And we had goats before, so the goats kept everything back and down,
yep.
so that was easy.
Yeah. Yeah. They're hard
They'll
little
do a
workers.
number on they'll eat everything, including they ate my favorite broom.
Oh my goodness. Oh, awesome. Well, yeah, this was a good podcast. I feel like it was kind of like a little reset podcast for us today of I think we're both crawling out of the hole.
Yeah, we're
And
going over the hump of the year.
yeah.
This is we're leaving that halfway point, going into the next half. I feel these things as we change, and
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
really appreciate the angel book, the 101. It just really
Yeah.
helped me today.
Yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad that it helped you. Yeah, it's always good to get those little messages and downloads and
Hmm.
yeah. So yeah, I think lessons for today is if you're feeling a little off, maybe you need to tap into some other senses and just kind of give yourself some grace and to figure out what it is that you need. Um, Maybe you're going into something new where what you were doing before isn't necessarily going to serve you the same way it did to get you to where you are. And use your broom again after you get your download or your message. And yeah, I just
And
love
if we
that so
bite off
much.
some, yeah, and if we bite off something that's too big for us to chew now, like the cobra, we just won't give it any venom any
Right.
of our spiritual venom. We won't put ourselves completely into it, just a little bite.
Yeah, just a little nibble.
Just a little, just a little bite.
Yes. And I think too, it's just so important to just give yourself grace whenever you're in a transition. Like we're
Yeah.
still humans. It doesn't matter how many books we read and all the things we do. We are still human. Like our bodies are
Yeah.
still going to react. Like, you know. So, yay, awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today. I just love our chats and I just always feel better. So, and I hope that, yeah, your day gets better and starts to swing back in the opposite direction where you're feeling a little bit, I don't know, more positive or confident or whatever it is that you're needing. So
Yep.
hopefully it'll come back in. So, yay. Awesome. Okay. Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.